Trent Alexander-Arnold suddenly looks like he might be playing quite an advanced role. I mean, Gareth Southgate, I say, experimented with him. It's one thing we've been shouting about, or you specifically, Myles, have been shouting about for a long time. Moving Trent in a more advanced position just opened up so many avenues for him to pick a pass. And he played really well in that position, didn't he? Can you see him being played there for England more and for Liverpool more? How can you see him being used going forward?
I really hope he plays there for England more, provided he gets some game time there at his club, because coaching and a national team like Gareth Southgate has to, it's quite a limited experience, really. You don't get a lot of time to completely change a player's position. We've seen him do it before with Kyle Walker and bring him into centre-back, but it's a really hard job to do unless that person has all the skills that they need. And actually, when you think about players that are under such meticulous coaches as someone like Trent or Kyle Walker with Guardiola and Klopp, there's a lot of details you've got to get across really quickly. It's helped that Trent has already started to kind of in-game move into that midfield role with Liverpool, although it's not like an isolated position. He's still covering the right-back position. We're really used to seeing defenders and particularly fullbacks move into that space now. John Stones is doing it as well at Man City, for example. So England have got options there. But for the longest time, this seems to have been the most logical outcome, because it's a very different game playing the centre of midfield to playing right back. There's so much more you have to think about because the game is everywhere. The game is in front, behind. You have to really be conscious of your surroundings in centre midfield. But the difference is there are three of you most of the time in modern formations. And one of Trent's biggest problems is when he gets isolated on his own, he looks a bit lost. And when he's right back, there's so much space to hit behind him. If he's in centre midfield, let's not forget, he's still got defensive qualities. They're not perfect and they're not top level for a defender, but as a midfielder who needs to put a challenge in or read the play, he's used to doing that, and we know about his ability going forward. So really the only thing you need to coach in him is how to read that side of the game as a centre midfielder, and he seems like a really intelligent footballing brain. He seems to love football, so I feel like he'd pick that up really quickly if the coaching happens. And actually a midfield three for England of Declan Rice, Trent and Bellingham, all of a sudden that looked like one of our weakest areas in the squad, and that's world class if they get it right. If we can coach Trent to stay in that kind of position, and it looked like, all right, it's Malta, but he was great. I think he played really, really well, and it's a player we know has really natural talent, and we've not been able to praise enough over the last couple of years. This could be a massive turning point for his career if Liverpool can latch onto it as well.
Yeah, I think from a sense of it making sense, I think the fact that he's had to have defensive duties as his main role pretty much, or at least 50-50 attacking and defending, means that he can't go as cavalier as he wants to. But when he plays against weaker opposition from wing-back, he really exploits that from his attacking qualities. His crosses and his passes are so precise. It's a clear strength of his. Imagine him in midfield regularly, not having to think about being the defensive kind of fulcrum in that role. He can go forward, yes, like you say, play passes and intercept where necessary. But I think, Dave, the shackles being off for Trent Alexander-Arnold might be liberating for him. I can see him really enjoying it being there as well, can't you?
Yeah, and I think we could see what he offered in this game. Obviously, I know it's Malta, and there will be obviously a lot more difficult games and, far more accomplished teams than Malta. But I think it was promising what we saw, and obviously he took his goal brilliantly. He's arguably probably got one of the best strikes of the ball in the team. He obviously doesn't get to showcase it enough because he's not really been in the team. But I think it's going to be great for England that what he's going to be able to offer, obviously on the ball. There's no doubt that he does need to improve his sort of tactical awareness and off the ball defensive abilities. That we know that obviously the vulnerabilities have been there, and we've seen him throughout the season at Liverpool when he's been playing at fullback and before he came into this sort of hybrid role. But I think it's definitely something. He offers something really different to what we have in midfield, and it's something that we've been crying out for really in the England midfield for a while now. And obviously, like Myles said, we have spoken about that. We think he would offer a lot more in a midfield position rather than as a defender, where he does have his vulnerabilities, and it'll be interesting to see what he can offer against the more established teams. This was a good step for him, and I think really showcasing what he's all about in this game. I feel like it'll give him a lot of confidence, but it'd be good to see what he can do against the better teams as well.
Let's not forget, other international sides have done really similar things with really good technical footballers. Think about Ukraine, Alexander Zinchenko, although we see him drift into midfield for Arsenal and City, traditionally as a left-back, but plays in midfield for his national team. David Alaba for Austria plays in midfield, but was always a full-back at Bayern and again at Madrid before he kind of moved into that centre-back role. So squads at international level don't have the freedom of going, our midfield's a bit weak, let's dip into the transfer market. You have to be smart with those solutions. And when you consider that currently we've got Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier at right back, and although they're advancing in age, you have Reece James who will be there for years to come. If Wan-Bissaka keeps his form up, maybe he joins that conversation again. But you look at England's midfield, and after Rice and Bellingham, we know it's weak.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win in many ways. Unless Mason Mount drops slightly deeper if he does make that move to Man United, or maybe Foden finds a space in midfield, you need to locate how we solve that problem, because shoehorning an aging Jordan Henderson into a team, it is just pointless at this stage. So at least with Trent, you bring that flair, that awareness, the ball for Saka for the first goal.
Brilliant.
Shows his quality and how well he's aware of what's going on around him. The fact that he takes that time to finish it for himself as well for the second, he's got everything he needs going forward. And actually, it seems like England really needed this at that time. So let's see I think we've got Ukraine and Italy in our next two, haven't we? So yeah. I'd like to see if they're brave enough to play him in that position against those two, because they will never try the hybrid role, because it's too attacking to move one of your fullbacks that high up and put them that central. And England won't do that. They don't have the centre-backs to cope with that while they're still playing Harry Maguire. So it seems like this is the best solution to making sure Trent gets the caps that a player of his quality deserves.
Yeah, well, there's talk of Kyle Walker moving out of City to kind of wind down his career a little bit. I guess now he's won it all. And I think in the England setup as well, there's been obviously a blessing with right backs. So maybe he's finding an opportunity now to see more of the squad time in England's setup, whoever the coach may be. But not only that, but be a versatile player to take to a tournament as well if he can master a couple of positions. So.
Absolutely.